So before we, namaste, my loves. Before we even set our intentions or start the practice or anything, let's just take a moment to arrive in our bodies. Because that's really, really important. One of my teachers and I had a conversation yesterday, and he told me, we always focus on the third eye in meditation because we think that we're supposed to get somewhere. But the thing is, we really want to focus on that muladhara, on the root chakra during meditation, because we want to be able to be embodied. We want to be able to be present, to be here. So that's the invitation for this space of time that we've set aside to share in an asana practice and in an exploration of our bodies and our hearts and our minds, is to allow ourselves to focus on that root chakra, the parts of us that are connected, and not just the root chakra, but each part of us that is connected to Mother Earth in this moment. So just notice your breath. Notice any tension that you might be present to. If there's any tightness or discomfort. Permission to just notice everything that you are currently aware of. Sounds, sights, the temperature of the room or the space that you're in. How the air feels on your body, how your clothes feel on your skin. And then once you feel like you've sort of arrived in the space that you find yourself in, then start to breathe into that space. So now we're coming out of the external a little bit more and into the internal realm of who and where we are. And again, just breathing into, think about breathing into the root, even if the breath doesn't want to travel there yet, that's okay. Just giving it that invitation or that permission, and then allowing it to be as it is. And what if just for tonight, just for this hour or so, what if we gave ourselves permission to accept all of who we are, exactly as we are, and to just trust the process and welcome all of our pieces, all of the bits of us that make us who we are and that actually make up our wholeness. Good. So take a nice deep inhale, collective inhale together. And maybe an audible exhale. See if you can just kind of land in your body a little bit more. Can you feel that contact between you and the earth? Between your breath and your lungs. And then before we come into setting our intention for the evening, just acknowledging the ancestry of ourselves, of this practice, and of the land that we find ourselves on. So for me, I'm in the land of the Tongva, so I acknowledge the Tongva people, and I welcome their wisdom, and also that of my own ancestry, and of the ancestry of this beautiful sacred practice that is yoga. And then just breathe into that. How does it feel to acknowledge the land, the DNA of the land, and the DNA of these bodies that we get to live this lifetime in? And notice whatever emotion's there, and just let it be there. And then we'll start to come into our sankalpa, our intention. So our sangha sankalpa, our group intention, is simply the gift of embodiment, embodying our own presence, our own awareness, our own experience. And our mantra for tonight will be Soham, I am that. And then as you create your Jiva Sankalpa, your individual Sankalpa, if you need clarity, we can hold that with the Soham. I am clarity. I am the wisdom I seek. I am the healing that I'm calling forth. And also allowing space for the possibility that what we seek, what we're calling in, what we're intending is nothing that's outside of us. Everything is already within us. And our sadhana, our practice, simply reveals that which already exists, which already is innate in our being. So keep breathing into that. Keep breathing into those points that are in contact with the ground, even if you're using props. Every part of you that is in that embrace of Mother Earth, allowing yourself to breathe into that. Breathe into the lower belly, not pushing, just allowing. And I'll do our Guru Pranam, calling in our guides and our gods, and of course our Divine Mother. Kandamandala Kara Yatam Yena Chara Chara Tatparam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Gurudeva Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Dhyanulam Guru Murti Dhyanulam Guru Param Mantramulam Guru Vanya Shamulam Guru Kripa Hari Om Namah Chandika Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalani Durga Kshama Shivaratri Swaha Swaha Namostute Rupam Dehi Jayam Dehi Yasho Dehi Vishnu Dahi. There's no rush. So as you know, I'll just be offering some guidance and suggestions. But just like when we meet together in person, you are your guru. You are your guide. So listen to your body, listen to your felt sense and your intuition. And let that be what guides you in your practice. So when you're ready, we'll meet in fetal position on our left side. And there's no rush. If you want some movement on your way or you want to take a big stretch, really take your time, drink it in. What is your body feeling? What is your body craving? Honoring the senses allows those senses to aid us in that journey beyond them. The journey going inward, where we're no longer controlled by the senses, but we allow them to be a vehicle that takes us to that place. So once you get into that fetal shape, if you have props available, you might place one even under your head or between your knees. So letting yourself get just as comfortable as you'd like. If you don't have props, that's okay. Just take this shape in a way that feels nurturing for you. And then again, fetal position. This is where we started this lifetime. So reconnecting to the earth, reconnecting to the sacred lineages that we're representing here in this space and time. And then when you're ready, just inhale that right arm high to Father's sky. Take a slight pause and just feel that connection between heaven and earth, between Mother Earth and Father Sky, between Shiva and Shakti. Take another inhale. And then exhale, let that right arm just slowly come back behind you. So now your heart will face up toward the sky. You can gently move your head side to side if you want. You can cactus your arms if this feels a little intense to have them straight out. Maybe even moving your head side to side until you find that sweet spot that just is what your body is craving. Notice if there's any judgment, if there's any shoulding. Not judging the judgment, right? But just giving it permission. It's welcome here too. Every part of you is welcome here. As long as you say so, right? We get to choose. So we get to choose to love ourselves unconditionally and love every facet of our being unconditionally. So breathing into that, reconnecting with those touch points with Mama Earth, coming back into the breath. Maybe utilizing that mantra to anchor the mind, give the mind something to feed on that's nourishing. So hum, I am that. I am that beauty. I am that grace. I am that fear, which is another expression of love. It's just an expression of love that hasn't yet been illuminated, and that's okay. So breathing into everything that's present, and this too, it's welcome here. So hum, I am all of this, and I'm so much more than I realize. Okay, we'll be here for about another minute or so. So just reconnecting with the breath, with the intention, the earth.
Let's take an inhale. And maybe a breath of Kali, open the mouth, sticking out the tongue. And then when you're ready, very gently come back into that fetal position. Take your time. So inhaling that right arm back up toward Father Sky, maybe taking another pause, and rolling back over into that fetal shape. Connecting to the womb of the mother, that space of creativity, of becoming, being held, loved. And then we're going to meet in that fetal shape on the other side. So come to center and see what you need before moving to the other side. So maybe a big stretch, maybe a happy baby or a bridge, hugging your knees in. Take a good minute or so to really feel into your felt sense what you need and giving yourself permission to honor that. No questions asked. We don't need to know why our bodies want what they do. We just get to honor that they do. And then we'll come into fetal position on the right side. Once you get into that shape on the right side, once again, let yourself arrive. So every time we transition and move into a different variation of a shape or a different shape altogether, the invitation is to land once we come into that space of stillness. Make those adjustments you need so that you feel comfortable to be present here now. It's all one big, beautiful meditation with these little transitions in between the pauses of stillness. So once you come into this fetal position on this shape and you've landed here, then again, reconnecting to the earth, to the breath, to the intention, to the ancestry. And then when you feel like it's ready, you're ready. Inhale the left arm high to Father Sky. Take that pause, just drink that in, that connection, that balance, the harmony. And then another inhale, exhale, bringing that left arm behind you and making any adjustments you need to feel comfortable to settle into this shape now. And then going through that process again of feeling the touch points with Mother Earth, feeling the connection to the pose, to the breath, to the intention, to the ancestry, to your own divine sacredness. Notice if there's any more tension that has crept in the jaw or the shoulder. Noticing it, welcoming it, breathing with it, and giving that tension permission to begin to dissolve. So we have tension and that keeps us very surfacey. It keeps us out of the embodied experience because we're holding so tightly. It's a protective mechanism and it's okay. As we begin to come into the breath and the tension begins to soften, we land deeper in our own being, in our own bodies. So nothing about it is right or wrong. It's just the experience of being. That's all. So when the tension's there, there's a message with that tension. There's some fear there. There's some resistance there. These are not bad. These are opportunities to unfold more into the truth of who we are, which is love and grace and so hum. Another few breaths here. Noticing if the mind has traveled. Anchoring it back into the pranayama, to the breath, into the mantra. Noticing our reactions to certain sounds or external experiences. No judgment. All of it is just information, guiding us into a deeper relationship and experience with ourselves. Take an inhale. Breath of Kali, exhale. When you're ready, slowly make your way back into that fetal position on the right side. Again, no rush, taking any pauses that feel appropriate for you. And taking a moment to just drink in the soma, the sweetness, the nectar of that experience. And we'll meet on our backs. And again, there's no rush. So take your time. Take time to integrate, to stretch, to move, to release. Even if you want a vinyasa flow, if you want to take a down dog and the whole thing, do whatever your body's asking for. We'll meet on our backs with our feet on the earth and the knees pointing up toward Father Sky. And again, no rush. I'm just letting you know where you might meet me on the mat. And so from here, we're going to gently start to move into the hips a little bit more. So bring the soles of your feet together and the knees will splay open if this feels appropriate for you. If this doesn't feel comfortable for you for any reason, you can take any other shape that feels restful and nourishing to you. You might keep your hands on your hips or a belly on, or one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, if you want to feel more connected to your embodied experience. You can also take your arms out to this cactus shape to start to come into the shoulders, or even take your arms up and overhead, maybe resting your left palm or your right palm, or taking opposite elbows. So finding something that feels restful and opening for you, whatever gentle opening your body is willing to participate in this moment. Again, there's no right or wrong. We're just creating an invitation for space. And then reconnecting with the earth. Reconnecting with the breath. With our intentions. Noticing the tension, letting the tension be our teacher. Where are we holding? What are we holding? Do we need to continue holding? And maybe the answer is yes. So just making space for that. Maybe the answer is no. So letting our breath give our bodies the tools that it needs to begin to release that tension. Coming back into the mantra, Soham. I am that. Capital T, that. All that is. Great Spirit, I am that. Take about 5 or 6 more breaths here. And of course, many more if you want. Taking an inhale. Maybe a breath of Kali or an audible exhale, just letting something go. Very slowly letting yourself come out of this shape. So if your knees are wide, maybe bringing your hands to gently help your knees come back together. Perhaps from here, taking a stretch or hugging your knees in, or any other variation that feels good for you. Just, again, taking that moment of integration without thinking about what we're doing, just letting our bodies guide us into what we need. The stronger a relationship we have with our bodies and with our intuitions on the mat, and the more willingness we are to create and develop that relationship, the more likely we are to honor that relationship off the mat as well. And to create lives that honor our truth. Lives that aren't focused on doing but being. And then whenever you're ready, feet will come to land back on the earth. Feel that connection, maybe even press the heels into the ground, lift up the toes, spread and wiggle those toes, and then place them down one at a time if that's available to you. And just really feeling that primal connection to the Earth Mother and how she holds us. And then we'll cross the left ankle over the right knee. So we're making our way into reclined pigeon. This might be plenty for us tonight. We might stay right here. If you want to explore, take an inhale. Exhale, hug the right knee in toward the heart space, maybe taking the back of the right thigh or the front of the right shin. If this isn't available to you tonight, that's okay. That right foot can stay on the ground, or you can use a strap or a towel, anything you have available to give yourself just a little bit of a lift, but maybe not hugging it in so much. And then once you get here, consider just bringing those shoulders away from your ears and allowing the back of the heart to just be held by the earth. Flexing the left toes helps us to protect the knee and ankle joints. And then intending for the tailbone to come down toward the earth. It might not make it all the way, that's okay. Depends on the tightness of our hips. But just think about not pressing the tailbone into the earth so much, but lengthening the tailbone toward the ground. And then letting it land wherever it lands, or float wherever it's floating. You can gently rock side to side if you want, or rest in stillness. If you'd like any other variation of pigeon, of course, please explore that. And just resting into this pose. So again, taking asana, having a seat. Connecting with the earth and with the breath, the intention with the mantra. Basically just letting ourselves actually be here. So often our physical bodies are one place, but our minds are somewhere far, far away. Yoga gives us these postures and these breathing techniques and all the things to give us something to do so that we can get to where we just get to be. We develop that relationship of presence. We discover that our bodies are safe places to be, and it takes time, and it's okay that it takes time.
So just breathing into whatever your experience is, and just for right now, letting it be okay. Take 5 more breaths here. And take an inhale. And exhale, let it go. One more inhale here together. And then when and as you're ready, exhale, letting that right foot come back down to connect with Earth Mother. And then the left foot will also connect with the earth. And just taking a moment to feel the differences between the two hips, to feel any sense of that blood flow or the prana flowing through your body. And then as your body says it's okay, we'll take that to the other side, crossing the right ankle above the left knee. Take your time, go slowly. This is your journey. So again, though I'm giving you some guidance and some suggestions, this journey and this experience is your very own. So please utilize this time to really build and strengthen that connection with your own innate knowing. Once you come into the pose, landing in the pose. So this side might feel much tighter than the other side. It might feel more open than the other side. You might want some of that rocking where maybe before you wanted this stillness. So letting go of any comparisons or any judgments, and just letting that intuition guide you into the expression of this pose that your body needs for this side. Balance and harmony do not equate to symmetry. So to create balance and harmony in our bodies, we don't have to create poses that look symmetrical to what we did before, what we've done in previous practices, or what we even just did on the other side. Because that can actually create a lot of imbalance if we're not listening to what we need in each moment. So the harmony comes with this breath, with this moment. The balance comes from listening to the body and participating in the expression that the body is asking for.
few more breaths here. And again, if you find the mind wandering off, that's okay. Just gently invite it back to this moment, to this breath, to the mantra, Soham. Take an inhale and exhale, let it go. Maybe one last inhale here together, and then exhale, left foot comes to meet Mama Earth, and then very gently, very slowly, the right foot will also come to meet the earth. And taking a moment to find whatever expression of shape or movement your body's asking for, and just integrate those hip openers that we just did. Then we'll very gently make our way onto our bellies. Again, whenever you're ready, no rush. We're going to come into Sphinx pose. So tops of the feet are on the ground. The closer you bring your ankles, the more intense it's going to be. So since we're doing restorative practices this evening, I'd invite you to take your feet wider, maybe even as wide as your mat. Elbows are below the shoulders. And we're lifting up through the heart space. If this is too much intensity on your lower back, if there's any pinching or pain at all, that means this is too much. So feet go wider and or walk those elbows out a bit more so that we lessen that the C curve in the back. If this is altogether just not working for you, come to just simply rest on your belly and feel that connection to the earth. So lots of variations or anything else that you would like to do. So once you land in the pose, then discover what it is that your head and neck want to do. So you might stay right here. In a hatha yoga class, we'd stay here, we'd keep the heart lifted, and we'd keep the spine and the neck long. This is restorative. We're going to be here for a bit. So you might take a cushion and actually rest your head on the cushion. Because really the focus here is on the lower back. Breathing into the Muladhara, the root chakra. Breathing into the hip space, the lower back space. If your neck is like mine, it can be very sensitive. So we want to honor the neck so that we can focus on sending the breath to the lower back instead of gripping and holding and trying to keep our bodies upright if that's not what they want. And again, letting ourselves really land in this shape. Anchoring to Mother Earth, especially now that we have the root chakra really connected to her. So feeling, maybe even imagining roots growing into the earth, allowing us to just be nurtured and nourished by her. So we'll be here for about a minute or so more. You might come out of the pose a little bit. If you'd like to go deeper, maybe come up into seal. So inhale, lift the elbows off the ground. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. So again, this is a little more active. Maybe even walk those feet in a little bit more. But listen to your lower back. Again, if there's any pinching or pain, now is not the time to come into this expression of the pose. Discomfort's okay. That's a dance that we can kind of determine whether or not we want to be in the discomfort. We do want to be able to build our tolerance and acceptance of discomfort. But sometimes we also need to just rest and allow ourselves to be comfort's head. And only we know what's best for us at any given moment. So permission to exercise that wisdom. If you're gripping through the thighs, soften, let it go. Take an inhale. Breath of Kali, exhale. One more inhale here. Exhale, slowly release back down to Mama Earth. Just let yourself connect with her completely for a few breaths, and then we'll meet in child's pose. So whenever you're ready, allowing the earth to be what supports us, pushing up and back. But be very aware of this transition. So notice the joints that are working, the muscles that are working. Big toes come together to touch. Maybe the knees go wide. Pressing the hips all the way back to the heels. And again, you can decide. This might feel really good to stay active, to keep the elbows up for a few breaths, maybe even kind of rocking side to side. Maybe you just want to come right into any variation that feels a little more restorative for you. Child's pose. You can also take a bolster or a blanket and put it under your heart space so that you have something to rest on. So lots of variations. And again, once we get to whatever feels the most nurturing for us in this moment, permission to arrive now in this shape. Permission to feel the earth holding us, to feel the breath in our bodies, to allow the breath to travel all the way toward the pelvic floor. Balasana, this is child's pose, so permission to connect to our inner children, to our ancestral wisdom, to all that is, and to that experience, that knowing of Soham. All that is, and I am that. If your head is turned in one direction, you might turn it to the other side now. Take an inhale and an exhale. And again, whenever you're ready, there's no rush. Slowly push up out of child's pose. And then give yourself a moment to take any last shape or movement that your body's asking for to feel complete with your asana practice before coming into our final resting pose. So again, if you want to take even a vinyasa flow, if you want to take some cat-cow and get a little bit more movement, you're welcome to do that. Or just start building your foundation for what your final resting pose will look like. So Shavasana can be taken on your back, as you know, but it can also be taken on your belly or in fetal position, legs up the wall, any shape that feels the most nurturing and the most holding for you, like provides that felt sense of being held. So take your time coming into any last movements before taking that Shavasana. And then once you come into that final resting pose, same thing, give yourself permission to really arrive here. Feel the earth holding you. Our beloved mother who provides fruits and vegetables and grains from her own body for us to be nourished by. Father Sky who provides air for us to breathe. All that we need provided by nature, by Prakriti, by the mother. And all of this is embedded within us. All of her sacredness, all of her divinity is also the truth of who we are. And even so much more that we can't even begin to fathom. So as we come into this final resting pose, Shavasana, sometimes it's called Shiva Shavasana because it's really the pose of Shiva, the pose of endings, of death, letting go. This is where in our asana practice, we get to let go of our intentions. And we get to simply rest in the integration of the space that we created this evening. So feeling those touch points between your body and the earth,
feeling the breath just very naturally flow through your body. Allowing any tense or tight muscles to find a little more ease. Still allowing the mantra to float around in our minds if we need that. And then just letting ourselves be held by the mother. Okay. So take your time. When you're ready, just start to come back into that space of embodiment. Reconnecting to Mama Earth, to the breath. Maybe taking some micro movements in fingers and toes. Rolling out wrists and ankles. Perhaps taking a nice stretch. And if you'd like, you can make your way into fetal position on the left side. So transforming from Shiva back into Saraswati. Saraswati is creation, birth and beginnings. She holds in one hand the Vedas, all wisdom. And in another hand, a mala, all devotion. And in her other two hands, she holds the veena, music. And from the depths of knowledge and with the purest of devotion, she plays her creation into being. So connecting into that Soham, we also have these tools. We also have this wisdom, this music within us, this devotion within us. So reconnecting to that, to the earth, to the prana, the breath, to the ancestors, to self. You can stay here to finish out your practice. We'll spend a few moments in meditation together, or you can gently help yourself up to a seat or any other shape that feels appropriate. Just for the sake of continuing that space of really being connected to the body, to the earth, which our bodies are an extension of, maybe just place your hands in your lap, palms face down. Palms face down so that you have that touch point with your own self. And feeling every point of you that is in contact with the ground. Feeling your breath. Coming back to the pranayama. And now our yoga practice is about to shift and transform yet again. We're not ending our yoga practice. Yoga never ends. There's nothing beyond yoga. Eventually we get to the merging, we get to yoga. But what we call yoga never ends. It's the infinite. And these practices allow us to merge into that infinite. That we've been using the mantra for all night. I am that. I am the infinite. Yoga is just the vehicle to get us to the place of realization and embodying that infinity. So just breathing into whatever you're present to in this moment. And really bringing the focus of our awareness again to that pelvic floor, to the root chakra, the Muladhara chakra. This is where it's Kundalini or Prakriti, where nature, our humanity, in its rawest, purest form resides. She rests here. So sending that breath to her, honoring the sacredness of our humanity. Letting go of this need to transcend the gift that is being human. And instead spending some time with the truth of just being human, of being here in this body, in this moment, in this time. Prakriti is not wrong. Nature is not wrong. Humanity is not bad. It's beautiful, and it's the experience that traverses us into that space of the non-dual reality, the Brahman, and all the things that yoga points us toward. But in this moment, we get to make peace with the fact that we are very human, and how very precious that is. What if we could embrace our humanity with the same wanderlust and awe with which we embrace our divinity, or our idea of what divinity is? What if we could offer the flowers of devotion that we give so willingly to the divine, to our own humanity as well? So just spending a few moments in stillness and silence. If we were to build an altar in the Muladhara, in this sanctuary of the divine feminine, which is the sanctuary of nature, of Prakriti, of humanity, what would we construct here? What would we offer here? Giving ourselves just a few moments to be in communion with that most sacred aspect of ourselves. As we continue this dialogue, notice if there are images or words or colors that come to mind. What felt sensations we experience in the body when we think of our humanity as divinity. Notice if the landscape here in this space begins to transcend or transform when we look at our humanity as not something to be overcome, but something to hold dearly, to bring with us in this ongoing journey of discovering our divinity. In that journey of discovery, bringing with us, being embodied by our humanity. And realizing that real yoga is not separating the two. but the union of Shiva and Shakti, of Prakriti with divinity. And of course, you're welcome to stay in meditation as long as you'd like. When you're ready to start coming out of it, just bring your hands to your heart. No specific mudra, just make connection with that heart space. This is where that uniting of Shiva and Shakti, Prakriti and Brahman take place. And here in the stillness and sanctuary of your own heart, can you just give yourself the acknowledgement that I see you, all of your pieces, all of your wholeness, all of the fears, all of the hopes, all of the joys, every aspect of who you are. I see you. I hear you. I believe you. I trust you. I love you. I am you. So hum. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jaya Jaganambe Mata Ki. Jai Gurudev. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me and allowing me to be a part of your journey. Stay in your stillness for as long as you'd like. Just exit now or turn off the video now if you want to stay in that space. I'll see you next time.